Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Standards Committee. We have the list of announcements. So this meeting will eventually be live streamed to the public. A recording of the public part of the meeting will be available on the Council's website within 24 hours of the meeting. Attendees are required to wear masks on entry to the building and meeting rooms, but may remove them when seated. Would members and officers please remember to switch their microphone on when speaking and off when they have finished speaking in the council chamber, and ensure the microphone is positioned near you and speak directly into the microphone. Would attendees please switch off mobile phones or put them on silent mode. If you need to take a call, please leave the room. We're on to apologies for absence.
We have apologies from Councillors Young, Petts and Sana Hussain.
Okay, thank you. And now we move on to the minutes. So we have minutes from the 3rd of February. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Chair. It was just at the bottom of page 3. It says, I asked a question. The complainant has received a letter to him, and it is thought that he would have responded if he was dissatisfied. Do we know? Because I got the feeling he might have responded after the meeting, but I don't know. So the query is, the minutes are right, because that's what you're told. I don't know if I bring it up now, but the complainant, so with regard to the item at the bottom of paragraph 3, it says the complainant had been sent a letter. It is thought he would have responded if he was dissatisfied with the response, but at the time I don't think he responded. Has he subsequently responded?
Yes, Chair, the complainant did respond after the meeting, and the Chief Executive responded back to him to reiterate the advice that had previously been given.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions or comments on the 3rd of February minutes? No? Okay. And minutes from the 17th of May. Does anyone have any questions or comments? No? Okay. I think we're happy to sign those off with that amendment. Okay. Okay, so section 106. Those items on the agenda affected by section 106 of the local... Do I have to read this bit? I never know if I'm supposed to read it or not.
There's nothing affected by section 106, Joe.
That's what I thought. Okay, I'm going to sit closer. Ooh, I can't really sit very close. Okay, right, so disclosure of interest.
I don't know if I need you, but I always will. I work at Icknield High School, just in case anything is in.
Okay. So do we have any urgent business?
No, Chair.
No urgent business. So it's on to the report. So it's over to Mark for complaints against members.
Thank you, Chair. Although I said at the last meeting that this would be a written report from now on, it is on this occasion an oral report because there is nothing to report. There have been no complaints against councillors since the last meeting, I'm very pleased to say.
So I guess that means we're on to the Chair's annual report. So take that.
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to present the Chair's annual report of the Work on Standards Committee for the last municipal year. The report also includes information on member attendance at committees, that's Annex A to the Chair's report, and members' participation in various forms of training. There are a couple of amendments that I wish to draw to your attention. The first one is that Councillor Umi Ali actually attended 7 out of 8 meetings of full council rather than the 6 that are on the appendix. That has been corrected, and it is the right number that will go through to council, which actually takes place on the 19th of July rather than the 12th of July. It has had to be moved because of a clash with the police and crime panel. So the report itself covers what you would expect. It talks about members' attendance. It talks about the complaints that have been received against members during the year and provides a final update on where we are with those. As I reported to you last time, all of the complaints that were raised during the year have been dealt with and closed off. It also makes reference to council monitoring, and as ever, we are obliged to the independent members of the committee for their attendance at full council meetings and, where necessary, other meetings of committees of the council. And the report also covers, as I say, the training. So I'm pleased to answer any questions, Chair, if members have any.
Do we have any questions? No? Okay.
Something that I wondered about during the times of COVID, I know there weren't that many meetings or people weren't attending, and even so now. There is no facility within the system to mark illness, but is that a general way of doing it? Because I'm thinking about the times, unfortunately, that I've had off because of illness, but I mean, my percentage is absolutely dreadful and I'm ashamed of it, but it's just one of those things. It's not because I haven't wanted to be here, it's because I couldn't be here. It was just one of those things, and I just wondered how much COVID has had an effect on some of the figures. I know you won't know that.
I think it probably has. I mean, take your colleague, Councillor Skeppelhorn, for example.
Yes.
You know, who was out of commission for an unconscionably long length of time. We have to record when people are absent for the record, but it doesn't provide us with a facility of why that might be the case. It's possible that we could cover it in some sort of narrative, but that would mean then going to every councillor and saying, well, why were you away from that particular meeting? And probably members wouldn't be able to remember in most cases specifically why they'd missed a meeting. So it is unfortunate that where somebody is ill for an extended period or has a succession of episodes of illness, that it will affect the statistics.
Yes.
But we know, for instance, with, for example, Councillor Skeppelhorn, that it's gone on record that because full council approved his absence from meetings for that period of time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Go ahead.
I was looking at my attendance, and I've missed one council meeting because there was a death in the family. But my finance and scrutiny, I just want to bring it to attention that I was subbed most of the time, and there's no way of indication to tell that because my other half sits as a director on the airport, so I couldn't do it. I wanted to be at the meeting, but I was subbed. A substitute took my place. So is there,
Well, I think there certainly should be some way of recognising that if a substitute attends, then in effect the member is there.
Yes,
So I will raise that.
please do. Because, you know, the attendance is so low compared to look at 87. I missed one meeting, full council meeting, and that's brought me to 87. 100% scrutiny you see there, and then it's 53% there because one apology I'm sure I must have sent right, but there's so many times I was there and somebody phoned me up and say, no, you can't attend that, you know, finance. That's why this time I didn't sit on the finance committee because my husband is still on the airport.
If we allow substitutes on committees, then I think it's only right that we should record them as being there
Yes.
for the member for whom they're substituting. So I will take that away and raise it.
Because it's really brought my attendance really down compared to the rest of my other committees. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Do we have any further questions? No? Oh, Councillor Malik.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark, for this report. A few members' attendance is quite low, but few members' attendance is quite good. I've seen a few members, they are above 90%, and one of our members is got 100% attendance. So I think we need to praise them as well. Thank you.
Okay. I was just going to point out a maths mistake on mine. What's your spelling mistake?
On appendix B4 it says COVID-19 testing vaccination programme.
Ah.
On page 3041, at the very top, it says programme rather than programme.
Yes. Can you note that down? And Mark, just one minor maths error, which I admittedly did not notice until now. In the total of meetings I've attended, that adds up to 33, not 32. Because I've only missed 2. Thank you.
Glad to say I didn't actually.
Sorry, I've just got one further comment. On pages 27, 28, 29, 30, again, I think we've mentioned this in the past, that there's quite a lot of gaps where it talks about compulsory training. I'm assuming that where there is no information, it means it wasn't compulsory training and it was not applicable.
The one on page 27 is mandatory training, and it should be completed by every member. For some members, for example, if a member doesn't sit on a personnel appeals panel, then it's probably not so important. But certainly you would expect things like code of conduct and standards, GDPR, and those sort of things to have been attended by all members within their period of office. And it is within their period of office. Now, you would expect most councillors to do that as soon as possible after they take office, but we have to remember that we've had 2 years of disruption where the normal amount of training for, opportunities that would have been on offer have not been on offer because we've not been able to meet, and a lot of these training things are not really that effective online. So there is some catching up to do, which probably won't be possible before the election in May next year. So there will be a push after the May election to make sure that members are aware that they need to undertake these courses.
Thank you for that. That's all very valid. I think the thing for me as a member of the public is I can't tell from this if somebody hasn't attended compulsory training or not, because it's not saying where it's not applicable to them. I think is kind of the point I'm kind of trying to make. I completely get with COVID we're perhaps a little behind on some things, but you know, it looks as though very few people, say, have gone to fair selection, but should everybody have gone? I think if they shouldn't go to it, it needs to be marked as not applicable on this report, so that it doesn't look as though councillors have failed to do training in areas where they don't actually have compulsory need to attend.
Well, I think the message is that they haven't taken training that they should have done.
In every instance, is everybody obliged to do every piece of training? Because I didn't think that was the case.
Well, it's headed mandatory training, and my understanding of mandatory...
But isn't it only mandatory if they're on that committee, on particular... Some of it is relevant to particular committees.
I mean, I always thought it was mandatory to do the training on the committees that you're on. And as they come round, if you change committees from one year to another, then you go on the training course either before you're on that committee or not. I mean, it looks to me like I haven't done anything for a couple of years. But then over the past years, I've done most of them. I don't know exactly all, I haven't done all of them, but it looks like I've done none, but I have in the past. I think it's particularly relevant for committees that you're on, but then it doesn't do any harm really to sit in on the rest of them, does it? So you actually know what's going on within the council.
I think what's confusing about this table, I think, is that it only records training that's taken place since the last election. And of course there are many members who will have been on the council prior to the last election who will have undertaken the training. If I pick somebody, for example, who I know would be scrupulous in making sure that they're properly trained, Councillor Franks, nothing shows for Councillor Franks, and yet we know that cannot be the case. So I will go back and discuss this with the person who's responsible for compiling the record and see if we can't get it to be more meaningful.
Can I just come in on the point that you've made? And on the assumption that we're talking there about the ones in Annex B1 being the mandatory ones, it says at the top, mandatory training must be completed at least once during the term of office. Is the term of office after every election? And if that's the case, it doesn't matter if he's done it 5 years ago or whatever, he should be doing it and refreshing and updating on a regular basis, because some of the things have dramatically changed. Like GDPR or whatever, I think everybody should be doing that. Safeguarding, how can you properly fulfil your role as a councillor if you're not, haven't had appropriate training about safeguarding, which is probably at the core of most things that the council does?
Yes, those are good points. I will take it back to the person who's responsible for member training, which is not me.
Can I bring in Councillor Malik first?
Oh, yeah, thank you. In terms of trainings, sometimes, as my understanding is, some trainings are mandatory and some are not. And at the same time, for example, I'm here since 2011. I have done all the trainings in the past. So we repeat these trainings every year, don't we? Yes? And also, most of the members have done LGA trainings as well and other trainings. Also, I agree with Diana's argument that we do those trainings which we work on, like with the committees training as well. But at the same time, all the trainings are important. This is what we believe in, and I think all members should attend all the trainings all the time, because it's in terms of understanding council work and code of conduct and other stuff. I think we should attend all the trainings.
Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, I think I've said this one, but on a similar vein, so for someone like myself, I've done GDPR through my school, and I've done safeguarding through my school, which is council, or well, we're an academy, but perhaps you could take that similar vein. If someone could, we used to call it in Cubs and Scouts, accredited prior learning, which might help again in being able to show that and kind of filling that one in. So if you're doing something through your job that's one of these and could be counted, say, as accredited prior learning, and bringing some sort of certification, that would ease the burden on the council of doing training, and equally as a member, if you've got that already. I think there's an element of that with some people. Well, I do this already, and just like you're saying, you should have, sorry, didn't use your name, apologies. Sorry, Pete. Is that, yeah, we should be as agendaed up on all these things as we can. I'm sure there is an element of it's another thing to go to. So if within a job of someone, they've got that background, you might be Cubs and Scouts and have safeguarding and something like that, that might just help alleviate that and make the training situation look a bit better. Sorry, thank you.
Mark, I just had a question which probably you can't answer, seeing as you didn't compile the report. What's the difference between the two different risk management columns?
Well, one of them is mandatory risk management training. Oh, they're both in the... Yeah, they're both in that one. Oh, goodness only knows.
Do we have any further questions or comments on the report? No? Okay. Right, so I think we are moving on to the whistleblowing policy.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this report is to inform the committee of the number, nature and outcome of whistleblowing complaints received during the last municipal year, prior to it being considered also by Audit and Governance Committee.